And there we are. Sorry about that, guys. I got tied up with something that I was like, I got to change the time. So I normally obviously do my live stream at 8 o'clock, but I had to change it to 9 o'clock tonight. So morning late, anytime now. Here I am. So welcome, welcome. So sorry, really sorry about that. It could not be helped. So who do we got here? Delbert's in the house. We got Our Life Off Grid, Morning Light. Kathy is here. Bobby Farron. Sonia's in the house. And we got another Sonia. So we got Sonia McCart and Sonia Klein. Lamb's Light. Alex is here. JJ's in the house. So I'm glad you guys could make it and stay up, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I got tied up, and that happens. But anyway, before we jump into anything, I just want to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. I would ask you all to please be decent. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches will boot you out of here. So now I'm not sure if the kiddies will come in tonight and play. I'm not sure if it's past their bedtime now because they have to get up and go to school in the morning. But if they do and they get on there and act stupid, I would ask you just ignore them. Let my moderators take care of that, and I do appreciate that as well. So. All right, so now we're jumping up. We've got like 104 people already. Only 38 thumbs up, guys. Come on, let's get them thumbs up going, please. Again, it really does make a huge difference with the algorithms, so I do appreciate it for that. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure that you hit that bell notification or bell icon. If I could speak, it'd be great. Bell icon for all notifications. All right, we got to talk about this because this don't make a whole lot of sense to me, okay? You have coming up, I think it's Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a Secretary of War, they call it now, instead of the Army, Secretary of the Army, has called a meeting of all 1-star and higher generals, admirals, all branches of the service, Air Force, Army, Marines, for this meeting. They're not telling us what the meeting is about, okay? And but they're saying that they're going to be meeting in Quantico in Virginia. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Top 800. Okay, yep, that's right. Would you advertise, excuse me, to your enemies, right, that all the top brass, all the big wigs in the militaries, all 4 branches of the militaries, well, now we got Space Force too, so 5 branches now. All 5 branches, top brass, are all going to be here at this time. Does that make any sense? Would you let, why would you risk all of them together in one place? Thank you, Lamb's Light. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Could be a distraction. Who knows? But why would you let your enemies know? And not that we're short of enemies in this country, that there's not, a few people that would like to, see America have harm done to it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I did. Why would you advertise it? It's a DEI purge. You never know. Well, the thing is, if you're going to do a purge, right? You could call certain people in and say, just the people that they plan on axing. So, but I don't know. Like I said, it all of it doesn't make sense. And this is like an unprecedented thing. President Trump wasn't informed of the generals meeting next Tuesday. Oh, really? And I hadn't heard that one either. You would think that he would have to let him know that he plans on doing it. But yeah, that's bizarre. It is bizarre. There's a lot. It's just, man, I tell you, nothing makes sense anymore. Forest Dog, I agree. I absolutely agree. Nothing makes sense anymore. Yeah, it just, what's going on? Hey, maybe it'll be like when Saddam Hussein, remember that one, where he had the party meeting and he had everybody in there and he lit up the cigar. Have you ever seen this one, guys? I'll explain a little bit. So he lights up the cigar, takes his time, smokes the cigar a little bit. He says, "When I call your name out, you will stand, you will repeat the party, anthem or whatever it was, and you will leave immediately." And they were like, way too much misinformation out there. You think, JJ? No kidding. So anyway, he was taught, and so what did these people, he'd call their name, they had to stand up, or party slogan, do the party slogan and then leave. And what he did is everybody that he called that got up and left, he had them killed. Saddam did. Every one of them. And everybody that was left after he was done, they all stood up and they're all like applauding and crying because they didn't get killed. So, but yeah. Very, very strange. Very, very strange. A lot of strange. There's so many weird. You look at what's going on. You had another church shooting today. People have just lost their freaking minds. And I'm going to tell you what. I personally put a lot of blame with that on social media, or the legacy news media. I'm sorry. The legacy news media. Okay. Yeah. Capone did the same thing with this time with the mob bosses. Exactly. They put out all this crap. They get these people riled up and stirred up. And, how many times have you guys heard that Trump is Hitler? That ICE agents are like the Gestapo, and so, they had to start covering their faces because people were doxing them, and so then the lunatics would show up at their houses, harass their wife and their kids or husband and the kids or whoever it was, and then you get an idiot like the one in California there, Newsom, that he has a bill go out that ICE agents are not allowed to wear a mask. It's just like, oh, Portland. Oh, my God. Yeah. Portland has been nuts for a while. Well, Portland legalized all the drugs. How do you legalize everything and expect things to be okay? Does that make any kind of sense? It doesn't to me. That doesn't make any kind of sense to me. So, but yeah, I just, it'll be interesting. Do you think the meeting of the generals next Tuesday could be a military draft act? No, I don't think it's. No, they've met their numbers since Trump has since Trump has become the president. They're exceeding the numbers, their expectation of numbers. So they're not. It's not like we're not getting enough people to go into service. And and if there was a draft, some of those people, I'm not sure I'd want them in uniform, to be honest with you. Green Bay scored again. Yeah, I'm not even watching it. Be honest with you, I was focused on watching the other games today. Baseball games, because it came right down to the wire. So the Yankees are tied with the best record in the American League, but Toronto gets the division because they had a better head-to-head record. Would they have a meeting before martial law? That if you were going to do martial law, it wouldn't just be the military, Lamb's Light. You would have to have, the sheriffs and all those other individuals and, involved in something like that as well. The National Guard would be involved, with that as well. But Yeah, I just all of that. Just it's a. I don't think it'll be about martial law. There's not enough reason at this point to justify. Dallas just blocks extra point, got 2 points. Okay, well, that's something anyway. So I'm about 50 miles north of Portland, Oregon. They can keep the fiasco in Portland. Yeah, whatever happened, guys, to like Colorado, Portland, all those areas out there. Beautiful areas, beautiful areas. And, the liberals all moved in and just destroyed it like they destroyed, the areas that they came from. They vote in the same policies and try to do the same thing. I don't know. Portland is fighting ICE right now. There's riots. Well, you know what? Then they need. I think that one of the things they talked about was using deadly force. And I'll tell you what, folks. I've said it before, right? I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you got a mob and they're attacking the police and they're burning and looting, you shoot a few of them, the rest will scatter. Guaranteed it'll happen. And then they'll be the victim, of course, right? And then the liberals would be all up in arms and nuts about the whole thing. They would be like, oh my God, this is terrible, but yeah, I mean, but you want to end it? Say, okay, if you can protest, go ahead and protest. If you become violent, if you attack the police, we're going to shoot you. You let them know. You know what I mean? You let them know. And then if it happens, whose fault is it? It's their own fault. So, like I said, yeah. Oh, of course they play the victim card. That's their go-to. If they can't get their own way, then you're a racist, a misogynist, a xenophobe, a homophobe, Islamophobe, whatever phobia you want to put on there, they'll try to accuse you of it. And it's part of the game. That's their playbook. That's what they have. So, what do we got? 219 in the chat already. We got 84 thumbs up. Again, guys, that's not even half. So if you have not done so yet, I would ask you to please do so to show support for the channel once again. Again, I thank you ahead of time. It also really does make a huge difference with the algorithms. Let's set a goal for like 200, just because why not? We did 200 the last live stream. So let's see if we can do 200 or better in this live stream. That would be cool. So again, but anyway, one of the guys from the group was here today working on getting his boards up and going to get started getting his gutters going before the next get together. Him and I were having a conversation, and he was like, he goes, man, I don't think we got a lot of time. And I said, well, man, look at what I've been talking. I don't think I will not say that it's going to be this or it's going to be that. Like I said, I have my own gut feeling. All right. I've talked about that. And my own gut feeling would be a grid down situation. It could be something else completely different from that. They've already used the pandemic, right? They've already used that one. So we got to take that card and put that over here. What's next? So would the meeting be held to invoke the Insurrection Act? You know what? I'm not going to speculate. Like I said, they're not giving out any information ahead of time of what's going on. Sonia's saying war possibly, could be. You don't know, The general meeting could be about China invading Taiwan. I think that if China did it right now, that would be a huge mistake on their part. A huge mistake. Biden, even in his dementia, twice said, I think 2 or 3 times said, we will, we have Taiwan's back. And then, of course, his handlers had to backpedal that, but Venezuela is, they're not going to invade Venezuela. That's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you what. You're probably already having, and I'm not saying this is happening, but wouldn't shock me if the CIA and all those other different operatives are already down and operating in Venezuela, working with guerrilla forces in Venezuela. That would not shock me at all. It seems like everything's coming to a head. Question is, what's going to set it off? And I don't disagree with that, Rat Rod Prepper. I don't. It's like you can feel it in your bones, if that makes any sense. That there's something is about to happen. Something is about to jump off in some way or another. It could be war, right? The economy has gone down a toilet. Everybody that's out there trying to buy groceries and pay their rent and gas and electric bills and everything else. Like one of the things I was talking about Jamie today, and he was talking about NYSEG up in New York, and they raised their rates and are looking to try to raise them again. He goes, it's insane. I said, absolutely, and that's why we ended up going off grid. If we are scared and worried, their fear mongering is working. It's not about being scared, JJ, and I worried somewhat. You know what I mean? Concerned, I think, would be a more of an accurate word. Worried is like, they're like, oh my God, whatever. But it's not being scared. I would rather be prepared than be scared, as far as that part of it goes. But concerned is a good word, I think. I mean, a lot of people that I've been talking with feel that there's something going to happen. Something is going to pop off. So, yeah, it's about being alert to the signs, in my opinion. Rat Prepper said that's a great way of looking at it. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. But yeah, if they can keep us in fear, if they can keep it where we're looking to the government to save the day, that's what they want. And that's a lot of people out there. That's what they want. A lot of people are welcoming the, National Guard, like in Chicago or Portland, where these idiots just have been wreaking havoc and the local government's doing nothing to stop it. Look what happened in Portland last time. I mean, how many months did they loot, riot, attack the federal building the last time? I mean, it was ridiculous. So if you got to squash it, you squash it. Now, is that a slippery slope? It can be. You know what I mean? It's just, it could be a slippery slope, because then where do you draw the line? Ed, you can't drink the water out of those tanks. Can you use it for washing? Larry, yes, you can use the water out of the tanks for drinking, but you have to purify it first. Real simple. Anything that I use to drink or to cook with has gone through my Berkey first. Obviously, I have other options, Larry, to be able to utilize that water for, to purify it if I have to. But right now, all I need it for is, I have my Berkey here in the house, and I run the water through that, and that's enough for me. Now, washing up, watering the dogs, watering the chickens, washing dishes, yep, I use that water all the time for that. So, and that's just, that's what I've been doing since I've been down here. In New York, we had a Berkey in New York as well. This is a different Berkey. There's the other Berkey I left in New York for Heather to use. So, any water that she cooks with or drinks runs through the Berkey first. But for washing dishes or taking a shower or watering the animals, just give them straight out of the tap. So, the military was told that they can use full force in Portland, 94. Good. I hope they do. Like I said, if there's consequences, see, here's the biggest thing, folks. If there's consequences for your actions, right, and that there's consequences for your actions, you're going to straighten up and act smart and not be stupid. Right now, these idiots know there are no consequences for their actions, because the local governments are going to have that revolving door, right? Catch and release, catch and release, catch and release. So they get them right back out in the street and they can act a fool again. Well, if you start locking these people up and throwing away the key for a few of them, other people are going to see that, or you crack a few skulls. I mean, you act stupid. What's that old saying? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? So, if you have to crack a few heads. But again, I'm not talking about peaceful protesters. Let me be real clear on that. I don't care what you're protesting, right? If you are peacefully doing it, you should have the right to do that. You will never see me there, even if it's something I believe in. I've talked about this before. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I could get jammed up. Won't do it. Okay? So that's something that people need to realize as well. Yeah, trash cans are cheap water collectors. Absolutely. Yep. That's, get you a few of even the plastic garbage cans. That works as well. And they're a lot cheaper to get the 40-gallon, plastic garbage cans. And you got the lid, you can put the lid on it so that the mosquitoes and everything else doesn't get into it, But yeah, it's just, I'm telling you right now, let me give you really one quick tip here for you guys. And I did talk about this the other day, I think. Power goes out, lights go out, fill everything you possibly can fill up with water while the taps are running, because they will still run for a while after the lights go out, after the power goes out. Fill everything that you possibly can, from your bathtub to garbage cans, whatever. Fill everything up, because if there is a situation that happens, and it's going to be a while, and again, most people are not ready. So this is for everybody that is ready, right? And people that are not ready. It's for both, because I want to make sure, I would like to see people survive whatever's going to happen. I want people to survive. What I put myself out here. I've been doing it for 14 years on YouTube, because if I can encourage you, if I can be, I hate to use the word inspiration, but if I can inspire you to do something to help yourself, that's one less victim out there, as far as I'm concerned. If you're able to help yourself and help your family, down the road, you're going to be like, man, I'm glad I listened to Preparedness 1 and I prepared. And I know a lot of people, I've had a lot of people tell me through emails and stuff like that, that, they lived through the event that happened in their area. And because they had prepared and because they had listened to what I said, it made that transition or that time period way easier than for a lot of other people. And they were in a position to be able to help their neighbors. And again, unless it's an end of the world, worst case scenario situation, if we can help, we should help. That's what I feel like. So, and we had no power until morning, so we had to use our battery generators, keeping the fridge and freezer going. Lost power out of nowhere from a bad thunderstorm. And again, those things are going to happen. So, and it's good that you had an option to be. Think about how quickly you would lose all that food in the freezers or all that food in the fridge if you're having an issue. You know what I mean? I mean, it can be really, really quickly that you're going to be in big trouble. So, again, those are things you have to prepare for. You have to think about. So that's just my take on that. I mean, it's just, but natural disasters are not going to stop happening. They're still going to happen. So power outages are going to happen no matter what. Ice storms are going to happen no matter what. Floods are going to happen. Mudslides are going to happen. Forest fires are going to happen. Tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, all those things are going to happen. They're going to happen. Guaranteed. I guarantee you this year, the rest of this year, these things will happen. Next year, I guarantee you they'll happen again. If there's any kind of major earthquake, that can be a game changer for a lot of things. You know, I don't think people realize how much we rely on two things for freight, right? Two things for freight: the railroads and also the trucks. If the railroads can't go and the trucks can't go, the supplies can't get to go where they need to go. And that, what about Yellowstone super volcano eruption? That would be a game changer, Alex. When that goes, and that's a matter of time, when Yellowstone goes, that's going to be a game changer for the planet. Those are planet killers. And that's just one of what, 7 or 8 super volcanoes that we have around the world. JJ said, Ed, it's just common sense depending on where you live. Be prepared for any event in your area. Right. You know, wherever you live, right? I mean, we're not going to have, I mean, we can be affected by a hurricane here, but by the time it got this far inland, it would be a powerful storm, but it wouldn't be hurricane force anymore. So, that would be, but it could do a lot of damage. We've had some good storms come through here, but people don't realize everything comes on a semi. I drove truck for 10 years. Exactly, Larry. They just wake up and magically it's at the store. How quickly would those stores be cleaned out? You know what I mean? They would be cleaned out in a heartbeat, within a couple of days of something major, if it was that long. See, my thing, and I've talked about this again, I'm going to say this again, the last place I want to worry about going to when things go sideways is trying to get to the store to get something that I need. I don't want to have to worry about that. I want to be in a position where I can go, okay, here it is. Now we deal with it. And we're as ready as we can be. And when it happens, we just go from there. You look, guys, remember back, those of us that are old enough, right? When 9/11 happened, things changed in the blink of an eye. It was a Monday morning, getting up, getting ready for work. And, and this event happens, bam. I mean, they shut down the airspace. I mean, it was a nightmare, and people were terrified. What's going on, what happened, and all those things that came from that, and but things changed in a blink of an eye. So I've been concerned it's war or an asteroid. Could be an asteroid too. You just never know. There's planet killers that will happen. They will come, absolutely. So, again, one of those that that's what they say killed off the dinosaurs was an asteroid. So you just, I was in middle school in Arizona during 9/11 attacks. Yeah. And, again, you remember it like it was yesterday. I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly what I was doing. Amy had turned on the TV and she's like, oh my God, a plane hit one of the Twin Towers. And I walked out there, and while we were watching, the second plane hit. Because the first one you're thinking, well, it could have been an accident, whatever the case may be. And I watched the second plane hit, and then you knew it was no accident. And then everything that unfolded after that, But yeah, it was like, that's a shock. I mean, that's, it was not a fun day. Still had to go to work, so I went to work, but it just craziness. So what do we got? 318 people in the chat, guys. We're at 135 on the thumbs up. Goal's 200, so we're 65 away from the goal. So again, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to do so to show support for the channel. And again, I do appreciate that ahead of time. Really does make a huge difference with the algorithm, so I thank you for that reason as well. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I thank you ahead of time for that. Sonia said, I was at work when 9/11 hit. We had the TV on in the office. Yeah. A lot of people did. I mean, when I got to work, sat around the TV and watched, getting updates and, and just the whole thing. It was a terrible day. And so, but, I mean, it's just, I'm sure when people that were alive when Pearl Harbor happened, okay, they never forgot that for the rest of their lives, where they were when they heard the news that that happened. When John F. Kennedy was assassinated, people will always remember where they were when that happened. Now, I wasn't born yet, so it didn't affect me, but you know what I mean? But again, it's like when a major type of an event happens, people will always remember, well, I was right here. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday, and, it's already what, 24 years ago. So, but I've been buying totes and filling them with toilet paper, paper towels, plates, hygiene items, etc. That's not a bad thing. That is a good way of doing it. Absolutely a good way of doing it. But yeah, it just, like I said, guys, I deep in my gut, it's like we're running out of time. We're running out of time. Now, when I say that, could it be 6 months? It could be 6 months. I don't know. I don't say it's going to be this type of time. I just feel like our time is short to be ready. And we've been really down here since the beginning of the year. We sat down in the beginning of the year and I said, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to focus on here. And then getting to where we're just focusing on one project at a time instead of being scattered and we were doing two or three different things at a time, and everybody's off doing this or that or the other thing. But we just, we needed to refocus. And so, that's what we've done. Oh, hell is fine. She came back around like 10 minutes after, all of a sudden there she was. So, yeah, she's a snot. She is absolutely a snot. But yeah, we're going to be, when we're in the pavilion, we're going to be good to go. We'll probably have to open windows, is what we'll probably, and that's, you know what, Larry? That's a good problem to have. That is a good problem to have. So I remember when Hurricane Helene hit us in North Carolina, but you, Ed, and your advice on being ready, I was to a point. Thank you. Yeah, and like I said, that's how you get advice from people that know what they're talking about. I mean, I just don't talk prepping, guys. I eat, live, and breathe it. This is my lifestyle. This is what I do. And I'll tell you what, I'm very, very grateful for that, because I've learned so much through the years that I, really has helped in the long run. And then focusing, on what's important and what we really need to work on. A lot of people ask me, what are you guys doing with the bunker? The bunker's been put on hold. There's other things that had to be done first. Do I want to get going with the bunker? Absolutely, yes. I want to get in. You have no idea how bad I want to get in there and work on the bunker and get that squared away. But other priorities took precedent, making sure that everybody that has a wood stove here has it hooked up and ready to go before the snow flies. That's important to me. Getting everybody's rain catchment set up so that when things go sideways, they can come down here and they got full tanks of water. Like Bud, I showed in the video today that I did earlier today. He's got two tanks, well, three. Well, there's actually 4 tanks are completely full. Three of the storage tanks are full, and his tank that he's got coming off of for the gutter, that one's completely full. So when he comes down here next month, he'll transfer the water that's in that one tank and he'll put it into his other. He's got 3 more tanks that he can fill up. So when he gets all those tanks filled, that's 7 275 gallon tanks. That's a lot of water, and that's just one spot. Jamie and Dawn got to get their tanks filled up, and get their setup done. And that's, like I said, he came in today and he was working on that. So Delbert said, I got a fire going here, cooling off fast at night. Well, we've been really fortunate. We've had some really decent weather. I think today's actually going to be the last really warm day. and then it's going to start cooling down, and we're going to be like in the 40s at night, and then it'll start getting a little chilly, after that. But we'll just do what we got to do, like we've always done, and we'll get through it. And worst case scenario this winter, if we have like a major storm and it's super super cold, I'll set up a cot and get all the dogs, and we'll go in the pavilion, and I'll get the fire going, and I'll sleep in the pavilion. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. That's fine. If that's what that's what we would have to do, then that's what we would have to do. But dogs are pretty good and they're resilient. And the puppies, earlier this year when they were a lot smaller, were in the pavilion, or I mean in the wolf's lair. So they would be fine because they would be out of the weather. It's insulated, and they would be just fine in the wolf's lair. But Hella goes, she's like right here. So Hella goes where I go. That's always been the case, always will be the case. So, but yeah, we've had like the dog run right now. Oh my God, it's so freaking muddy because we had that rain the other day, and it's a pretty muddy mess right now over there. But that happens. Cats are awesome. They're both inside right now. Oh, earlier today I was watching Clyde. Clyde had a chipmunk, and he was playing with it because that's what cats do before they kill it. And so yeah, he's doing his job. I'm sure she is too. They like to go out at night. So, would you go to the pavilion mainly because of the dogs? If I had to, yes. If it was so cold that I thought that the dogs, might not be warm enough, then yes, I would put them in the pavilion. I would stay in there with them, in the cats as well. So that might not go over so well with the cats, but yeah. But actually, with the dogs being bigger and all sleeping together, they should be just fine. Puppies are getting big. I mean, Genghis is a horse, and Zeus is just a tank. He is solid. Zeus is solid, but Genghis is the biggest one. No sleep for me. I bet I'd sleep okay. I'd probably have to get up periodically and feed the fire though, so that would kind of suck. You have no more mice. I haven't seen any, Larry. No, I mean, these guys are doing their job. And, like I said, when he caught that one mouse, when he was just a little bitty cat, I was like, oh, they could still at that point climb under the door because there's like a gap under the door. They were still able to climb under the door at that point. Neither one of them can do it anymore. But like Clyde is way, way bigger than Bonnie. So, but they're good cats. She got JJ Heather got the first 6-phase cord delivered. In the process now of getting that stacked and stuff like that. So and I told her, I said, once you get that 6-phase cord, because then I don't know exactly how much she still has in the woodshed already. But I told her, once you have that stacked, I said, take a picture, show it to me, and I will tell you how much more you need to get. My thing, I would completely fill that woodshed. So when she gets 6, I would get 6 more after that's all stacked. And then she would be more than good for this year. And then, in pretty good shape for next year. Actually, Becky and Rick were there, or, at the, there today. And Rick went up and he cleaned the cap, on the chimney. And then when I was talking to him and he said, yeah, I cleaned the cap on the chimney and stuff. I said, did you pull the vent out on the bottom? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, go ahead, go out. So he went out there. I said, you see that thing on the bottom of the stack? He goes, yeah. I go, pull that out. He's like, holy crap, you should have seen all the stuff that came out of there. I said, yeah, that's the other thing. I said, now look up in there. And he looked up in, he goes, yep, it's all cleared out. I'm like, good. So, but he said to me, it was so much creosote up on top, because that's where it really builds up on there with, we only burn hardwoods in New York, Delbert. Only hardwoods, no pine. So, but the creosote ends up getting in the very, very top. Okay. So they, he got up there and he cleaned that off. And, but, it hadn't been done in a while. I will say that. Okay. So, that's important that that got done. Especially, I can remember a couple times it happened to us that, I hadn't been on top of it and we were burning a lot and it got clogged and it would start back smoking back into the house. And I knew whenever that happened, I had to go out in the middle of winter with it snowing, cold, at night, climb up on the roof and clear it out. It's the only way. Stop, stop, stop. I love you, but stop. And of course, now she's right underneath between my legs. But yeah, I mean, you do what you have to do. You do what you have to do. Oh no, yeah, you can't give pine away in New York for firewood. People don't want pine in New York. I wouldn't want pine to burn down here. We got plenty of pine down here. Pine goes for outdoor, just bonfire type of stuff, not in the wood stoves. You want hardwoods for your wood stoves. That's what you want to have. Yeah, so that's what you want to burn. But yeah, I know out west all you guys burn is pine because that's all you got, and that's okay. But why hardwood? Because when you burn pine, pine is very sappy, and that's where you get the buildup in the chimney and up at the top. But it'll build up all the creosote will build up way faster and way worse with pine, and that's why yeah, not green hardwood. You want dry, seasoned hardwood. That's what you want. Yep. So, yeah, I think what we're going to do. Oh, Dallas TD, cool. I think what we're going to end up doing here is we'll probably have some wood brought in, just so that everybody that has a wood stove, we can make sure that they're all ready to go that way. So that's kind of one of the things that we're going to be working on. So what do we got? 330 in the chat, guys. We got 182 thumbs up. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, the goal's 200, which we should hit easily. So let's see how much farther out or higher up we can go. So if you have not shot that thumbs up yet, I would ask you to do so to show appreciation for the channel, and I do appreciate that. It really does make a huge difference with the algorithm, so I thank you for that as well. Also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I thank you ahead of time for that. Like I said, again, going back, we're going to do egg count here shortly, too, just so you guys know. But being ready for whatever may happen, be it a natural. See, let me, and I've talked about this before a million times, but I'm going to say it again because I think some things are worth repeating. Preparing for the unforeseen. What could the unforeseen be? Could it be the end of the world as we know it? Absolutely, yes, it could. Is that the most likely thing? No. So why do you prepare? You prepare for the unseen loss of a job, unforeseen death in a family, natural disasters, which happen every single day, every single year in this country. Disasters are going to happen. They're not going to stop. I saw a video, and I don't know if it was real or not. And there was a landslide that was coming, and this lady was standing out there, doing some kind of chanting or something. And this guy's yelling, "Lady, get out of there! Get out of there!" He goes, "Witchcraft is not going to help," And the landslide came down and took her right out, and that was the end of that. You cannot screw around with Mother Nature. Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature is going to do, Sickness as well. Yes, unforeseen sickness. You never know what could happen. So to be prepared and ready for whatever could happen is just smart. And again, economic collapse is coming, Scott P. is saying. That is a real possibility. That is a real possibility. We are in a huge danger area when it comes to the economy. I don't care what numbers are thrown up there. I don't care how great the stock market is doing. When I talk to everyday Americans, right? Everyday people that are going to work and trying to survive. And they're talking about how difficult it is and how expensive everything is. And, you know, RG&E or your gas and electric is always up, 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 going higher, higher, higher. Gas prices right now is stabilized, but for how long? Okay, who knows? Until the next thing that pops off, and the next thing you know, they pop up the gas prices again. You know, look at the cost of renting. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. I mean, it is absolutely insane. The cost of that right now. So, all right, what we're going to do right now before we continue, because I could just keep on talking, we're going to do egg count. 14 total chickens. How many total eggs did Miss Betty White lay, yes or no? And of the 3 Easter eggers that we have, how many of them laid? So I'll give you a moment to get your guesses in. So it's total number of eggs, yes or no for Miss Betty White, and how many of the Easter eggers. So we'll go from there. So I'll give you guys a moment to get your guesses in, and we will see what everybody says. Give you guys a moment here. And in the meantime, keep them thumbs ups coming, guys. Please. All right, I'm going to give you a hint. Have not seen a right answer yet. All right. So you want to change your guess? Now would be the time to do so. Give you guys a moment here. DJ, you coming back with another guess? There he is. Okay. I was waiting for DJ to get another guess in. All right. Well, it looks like we're going to have no winner tonight. So 10 eggs today. Yes for Miss Betty White. And 2 of the Easter eggers laid today. So that's what we ended up with. So we have no winner today. Try to give you guys enough time to get a guess in, but we can only go so long. But yeah, so 10 yes and 2. A lot of you had 10 yes and 3, but that was not to be the case today. So and it's funny because the Easter eggers are pretty steady as well. But yeah, but still, I'm not unhappy with 10 eggs today. I was pretty happy with getting 10 eggs, so that was definitely a good thing. So anyway, Vicky said that's too complicated for my elderly mind. Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, no winner, no chicken dinner. Exactly, Joe. Nobody gets to win nothing and be happy today. Too funny. We all lost and we're still happy. There you go. There you go. Oh my God, that's too funny. But yeah, like I said, again, with preparedness, and the thing is, preparedness comes in many forms, okay? And it's not just stocking up. That's not just that. It's actually physically prepared. It's mentally prepared. You know, I've always said to everybody in my group, I said, there's some of us that could stand to lose a few pounds. And I said, we're all going to lose weight when SHTF happens because we're not going to have the access to the crap that we have access to now. That's a fact. So, that's okay. All right, JJ, thank you. I wondered so mommy must have gone out and the child came on. I could just tell that was going to be a child. So, but I'm prepping 15 years now and I'm broke. Seriously. Oh, I get it. Any free money that I have goes into preparedness. That's just the way it is. That's just what I've been doing. and but I need to change my fat pounds into muscle pounds. Well, like I said, you probably can't tell, but it's like I kind of did a change in my own eating habits and and stuff like that, and really trying to take care of myself better. Did not like the way I felt, so needed to do something about it, and that's what I've been that's what I've been trying to do, because I want to be physically ready as well. I don't want to be day one at SHTF going, oh my God, man, I'm so out of shape. Um, you know, no, I want to be in a position where I can go, all right, I'm ready physically. Let's get this going and do what we got to do. There's going to be a lot of things that have to be done when the time comes. A lot of things. So the more ready we are, the better off we're going to be. And we just go from there. So Anthony said, I noticed that you look healthier. I feel better, but I'm not where I want to be, Anthony. I don't want to rest on my laurels, if you will. I got a long way to go, But, I just, I didn't feel good. I didn't like the way I looked. And, I'm just decided I'm going to do something about it. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So, but I've been eating a lot of eggs. So, good protein source, good fat source with the eggs, and it's healthy for you, especially, homegrown eggs. That's the best way to go. So that's a Cowboys scored a touchdown. Awesome. Is divorce an SHTF? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is an SHTF event for them. Absolutely, it is. That's devastating, especially on the kids. The kids are going to take it the hardest. You know, the kids are going to take it the hardest. I'll tell you a story real quick. Okay, I'll tell you a story, and this one broke my heart, guys, and I am not kidding. When she told me years later, this one broke my heart. When my ex left, the day that she left, she had said to Heather, she goes, do you want to skip going to school today and hang out with mom? And Heather was like, okay, right? So Amy already had it in her head she was leaving. And she packed up everything, and they took off, and she went to her brother's, and then I come home and they're gone, right? Well, years later, and I'm talking years later, Heather came to me and she said, Dad, I got to tell you something. And I went, what, honey? She said, the day that mom left, I felt like it was my fault, because if I had gone to school, it wouldn't have happened like that. And I said, honey, listen, don't ever think that it was your fault. It had nothing to do with you. But you don't know how a kid's mind is. You don't know how a kid is thinking. And I was like, your mom was going to leave no matter what. She just picked that time. So it had nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. And I felt so bad that she carried that guilt for so long, and hey, pickled eggs are still eggs when the snow flies. Oh yeah. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But it just that bothered me. But I told her, listen, she was going to go no matter what anyway. Is there a fence area in the upper area of your property? What's in there? That fenced area over there, that's the neighbor side. That's where they've never done nothing with it. Apparently, they talked about possibly putting, cows or horses or something in there, in that pasture area. So but they haven't done anything yet. So whatever they do, they do. They're not going to build out there. They're not going to live out there. So I've been watching the live protests in Portland because I'm originally from Oregon. Yeah, that's a mess. And that's all, bought and paid for. You have paid protesters. They've showed them at different events. These people that's their job. They travel around the country, go to these protests. If anybody from the right tries to, like, ever see that stupid lady with the kazoo, and she's like, she's got the sign, right wing lunatic or whatever that sign says, So yeah, it's just, That whole thing is just nuts. Do you think you could buy it if they offered to sell it to you? We already tried to buy it, Mimi. We tried to buy that property. And we had a deal done. We had a handshake deal done. In 2 weeks before closing, he changed his mind. But because we didn't have it in writing, didn't mean anything. So, I had an issue with that because to me, once you shake a man's hand and you make a deal, that's a deal. But, it is what it is. I had to let that go because I can't. I try not to hold hatred in my heart. I was upset. I will tell you that, and he knew I was upset. But we've talked. Actually, we talked earlier this year, and I just said, listen, I got to let this go, and I wanted to let you know I'm not going to talk about it anymore because anybody that would listen, I told everybody what a piece of garbage he was because he backed out on the deal. That's not that. I'm old school. If I shake your hand as a man and tell you this is what I'm going to do, right? Like, let's say you're moving and I shake your hand and say, brother, I'll be there for you. I'll help you. Okay. I may wake up that day and go, oh my God, I don't feel like doing it. Okay. I've been there, done that. But guess what? I made a promise and I made a deal. So I get up and I go and I do what I have to do. That's just me. But I was raised by my grandparents and they were very old school as well. And my grandfather always said this, folks. He said, you can tell a man by the way he shakes your hand. If a man gives you a good, firm handshake, generally he's trustworthy. If he's got some limp-wristed handshake, don't ever trust that man. So, my mother sold property that was supposed to go to my husband. I don't think I will ever forgive her. And I understand that. You can forgive, but you don't have to forget. Okay? You can forgive, but you don't have to forget. There's things that have happened to me in my life that I had to let them go. And I let it go for my own peace of mind, but I never forgot them. I never forgot it. So that's just, yeah, handshake was a word in the day. It was, and it meant something. It definitely meant something. Unfortunately, not anymore in modern day society. It does not. But I'm old school, always have been old school. Not going to change. Gen X, we're a bunch of PRICs, if you know what I mean. So that's who we are. We're stubborn, set in our ways. Will you stop? Couple more minutes, baby. Couple more minutes. You need to relax. I know, but you're not going out. I got to go put the puppies to bed, and then you can go out. But anyway, so, but like I said, guys, just keep doing what you can. A little at a time is better than doing nothing. Medical supply. The list, guys, goes on and on and on, and it can be very, very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. But if we do the best we can, and then when the time comes, then we have to act. That's not the time to react. That's the time to act. And, I like our chances. And as each month goes by, I like our chances that much more because each month that goes by, we have more done. Things are more ready. Like when we get together next month here, okay, in October, we will finish buttoning up the pavilion. That's what's going to happen that get together weekend, and we'll have that ready to go. Yeah, have a sewing kit. You'll need it. Yep, plenty of thread. Those are important as well. Absolutely, absolutely. Will you stop? I'm almost done. Almost done. No, now you need to stop. Hell it down. That's enough. Ah. Oh my God. Yeah, that wood stove is amazing. Absolutely amazing. That we have in the pavilion there. Love that wood stove. And it'll crank. And this year it's going to crank even more because now everything's insulated. We got the ceiling in, the loft is in, that's insulated. As soon as we, the drop down panels are all done and all that's done, and we get the windows in the front, which again will happen this next coming month. It's going to be huge. What a huge difference that's going to make, because we'll get blown out with that wood stove. It'll get so warm in there, we'll have to open windows. But again, that's a good problem to have. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with my favorite saying, STD, step, thing, and day. Whatever you're trying to accomplish in life, if you set realistic goals, it is one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. If you work methodically at whatever you're trying to do, it will get done, okay? It will get done. So just focus on that. Take care of what you got to take care of, and you'll be just fine. How do you plan on keeping the IBC totes from freezing? Poor white boy asked that. I'll answer that real quick for you. We're going to be getting foam board insulation, like the 2-inch thick insulation. Put that around the totes, on top of the totes and on the sides around the totes. That will help keep it warmer. So that's the game plan for that. And so hopefully that's going to make a difference. We'll see. They usually, when they do freeze, we don't have long periods where it's like so cold for so long. It'll get cold for like maybe a week, really cold, and then it'll warm back up, and then things warm up and I can use them again. But I've had it where I had about 15 gallons of water inside the camper, and that's all I had. And that was not fun. So, but hay bales work as well. Absolutely. Yep. So anyway, guys, be safe. Have a good one, and I will talk to you. I'll see you for the next live stream on Wednesday, 6 o'clock for hardcore members, which if you would like to join us for that, you go to my main page here on YouTube, hit the join button, and become a hardcore member. And then you can join us for that 6 o'clock live stream on Wednesday. The regular live stream will be at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. All right? Have a great day, everybody. Bye.